Welcome to Tsukumomono Groceries. We've got everything you need. Can I help you find something? Or perhaps there's something you want to inquire. Ah, so you're friends of Kurosawa, I take it? Perhaps you're here to pay off his debts.
Whoa! Let's not get ahead of ourselves. We're just here to learn where they all came from. How did Kurosawa end up owing you so much money? Did he buy anything super expensive here?
Let me think. Kurosawa would come regularly to purchase large quantities of foodstuffs. He'd always put the payment on his own account. However, the price of provisions began to skyrocket recently, and his salary was no longer enough to cover the cost. So, he started writing out IOUs to cover whatever he couldn't afford of the usual amount.
So that's how he was getting those emergency provisions. But why did he have to purchase a usual amount? If the prices increased, couldn't he just buy less?
Well, if you think about it, the citizens receiving the emergency provisions must have been carefully calculating how much they needed to sustain them each time. Kurosawa thought that it would be quite the disappointment for them if they found they didn't have enough, especially after such long and careful planning. So he deemed it necessary to take on the debt rather than let the people down.
Wow. Kurosawa was purchasing all the and no one ever appreciated what he did.
People's attitudes will always reflect their circumstances. If you ask me, had Kurosawa told everyone the truth about the supplies from the start, then of course, I'm sure there would still have been some unrest. As for why he chose to spend his own money on emergency provisions if you're still curious, why don't you go ask him yourself? I see. That reminds me, it seems that his vision was recently confiscated. Most unfortunate. If he doesn't clear the debt on his name,
Sword? What sword?
Oh, didn't he tell you? He possesses a very valuable blade. He's carried it for years now. I've asked him about its origins. He told me that it was a gift from his father, that it was too precious to sell. In hindsight, I regret that I never made an offer on it. Everything has its price, at least that's what I think. Why don't you ask him about the sword yourself? Perhaps it'll even provide you with the answers you're looking for. Oh, but before you go...
But we didn't...
Information is also a kind of... Don't worry, I won't charge much for information about Kurosawa. Nothing we ever discussed was explicitly confidential anyway.
At least we now know where the emergency provisions are coming from. But let's go talk to Kurosawa again. What are you doing here all by yourself?
I presented them with a choice. Either they left or I drew my sword. They left. It turned out to be a real time saver, actually. Perhaps I should start using it more often. Did you manage to track down the treasure hoarders? Everything...
That just about sums it up. It turns out that you really were distributing emergency provisions, but they were all purchased at your own expense.
Strange. Is that really the kind of person I was? I don't really have any such recollection. Even after all you've told me, I still don't remember anything. Why was I purchasing emergency provisions for everyone? And why would I put myself in such a difficult situation? But I could not deny that when I brandished my sword to scare those two away, I could sense that my body was somehow reluctant to do so. And this sword was once wielded by... I remember once when I was young, I wanted to sneak out with the blade and show it off to the kids next door. What did he say? It would seem that I forgot many important... All I can remember now is my father telling me, and said...
Hey, if you look carefully, there seems to be some words engraved on the hilt. Can you recognize the words?
Virtue and justice? Somehow those two words seem to explain everything now. Taking on seemingly endless debts to make others happy. I guess that must have been my greatest ambition after all. But what use are virtue and justice? I purchased the provisions for those in need. And look how the Tenryo Commission sees my vision. And the irony of all of it is, I'm incapable of being a good person. Yet I'm...
Yet another. When we get the chance, let's speak to Toma about Kurosawa's debt. In any case, we must never let him sell off that sword. Yeah, seems like fortunately for us, you don't have a vision. Let's go find the next point.
Time to act.
Okay.
Body and mind.
The third person who had their vision taken is supposed to be a famous sword master around these parts. Paimon heard that he's the present-day master of Meikyo Shisui art. Sounds pretty impressive. This is his dojo. Luckily, there's some people around. Let's go talk to them.
Nanako, don't worry. Sensei will be fine. Those thugs that challenged the dojo were strong, but he fought them all off in the end.
Maybe, but things have gotten dangerous before in the past, but it's never shaken him.
It's just because he's been possessed, that's all. Once the exorcism has taken place, he'll be right as rain in no...
Hey there! Did something happen?
Who are you? I don't care whether you're trespassers or just here to harass us while Sensei is impaired. Get out! Don't make me draw my blade, or you won't live to regret...
No! You got it so wrong! We just came here to...
Disciples?
Yep. We've heard all about the mighty master of Meikyo Shisui art. It's the whole reason we came all this way, to seek him out and ask him to train us. But then we got here and overheard you talking about how he got possessed or something?
From the way you're dressed, it doesn't look like you're from around here. Please, accept my apologies. We've had so many people trying to cause us trouble recently that we're on high alert. You haven't arrived at the best of times, I'm afraid. Sensei got possessed recently, and he's still recovering. He's not able to take on any new disciples for the time being. I see you are earnest in your pursuit. Okay, how about this? My fellow disciple Nanako and I will explain Sensei's situation to you in a little more detail. Sensei's name is Domon. Though self-taught, he mastered the art of the sword to a high level. He then proceeded to defeat many other prominent sword masters. He once said that his goal was to become the best sword master in the world. And so, even while training us, he continued to hone his own art. His fervor truly inspired... But then...
Not long ago, Sensei had his vision taken away. He says the strangest things over and over. Junya and I have discussed it, and we both think that he's been possessed by an evil spirit. So but if I'm honest, I still have my doubts over whether he'll completely recover.
The Grand Narukami Shrine? What's that?
You haven't heard of it? It's the largest shrine on Narukami Island. The head shrine maiden is reputed to have very close ties with the almighty Shogun herself. Not that we'd have any means of involving the head shrine maiden, of course. But even one of the ordinary shrine maidens from the Grand Narukami Shrine would have clear power and authority to perform an exorcism. So don't worry, Nanako. Since the exorcism will take place this evening, You're both more than welcome to come and watch if you're interested.
So, losing your vision can cause possession? Guess we should come back this evening and see for ourselves.
Shh. So you decided to come. It's a good thing you didn't arrive any earlier. You would have had to witness Sensei in one of his fits of madness. Just now, when Nanako was attending to him, she heard him whispering a few names. When she asked him who the people were, he suddenly looked panic-stricken. It looked like he was in great distress. He was covering his ears and looking frantically around him with bloodshot eyes. All the while he kept calling those names. Some of them we knew. Others we didn't recognize. But one of them was Anzai. He used to be a fellow disciple of Sensei's. His senior, in fact. But Sensei defeated him in a duel many years. Sensei wouldn't stop calling his name. The ritual has now begun. All we can do is patiently await the result. Please, excuse me for a moment while I fetch some water. If he wakes up, he is sure to be thirsty.
Huh? Who's that sneaking around? We won't let them get away with it. Come on! Seems they aren't here. Should we keep going further up? Is this definitely the right place? Let's look a little further up. Aha! Suspicious person sighted! That's gotta be him!
How... Are you sure you're Domon's disciples? Unless... I guess it's been a few years. Maybe...
Excuse me? We're the ones, and what are you doing sneaking around these parts?
Bad news? I'll have you know I trained side by side with Domon back in the day. I don't care to talk about that time anymore. But if you must know, I am Domon's senior.
His senior? What?
Anzai? Yes, that's me. Because I don't wish to see Domon or anyone else associated with him ever. When we were young, we trained under the same sword master, studying Make-Yoshi Sui art together. I had begun training 5 years before him, and everyone looked up to me as a steady and dependable older disciple. Practitioners of Make-Yoshi Sui art seek to achieve stillness of mind, freedom from all agitation. So the majority of disciples are indifferent to rank and reward. But Domon was different. The first thing he did when he joined was go straight to our sensei and ask him. Sensei scolded him and told him that the art of the sword should not be used for such vain ends. I thought so too at the time. But only then did I realize that it was Domon who had long since freed his mind from all agitation. He was consumed by his singular desire to become the best in the world. He sought nothing less than perfection in the art of the sword, and nothing could deter him from this goal, no matter what stood in his way.
Sure sounds like he meant business. So how come you don't want to ever see him again?
Because until he arrived, I was convinced that I would succeed our sensei as the master of Make-Yoshi Sui art. Of all the disciples, I was the most gifted. Domon's arrival changed everything. When we sparred, I lost not just the match, but my pride. Later, I heard that he sparred with Sensei too. Sensei was advanced in years by then, and unfortunately that match used up every last ounce of energy in his body. After that, I wanted nothing further to do with him. Deep down, though, I still respected his mastery of the blade and his commitment to the art of the sword. So, when I heard rumors that he had lost his mind, my first reaction was to dismiss them as false. How could he, of all people, have lost his mind. His mind was the sharpest of them all. He had practiced Meikyo Shisui. I decided to quietly come and see if it were true. Then, to my complete astonishment, so you see, I came here not to cause him any harm. Okay, you've heard my story.
Seems like we got it wrong this time. Still, Paimon's not sure we should bring him back with us.
What? You're saying he isn't possessed? Does that mean he's just lost his mind? But how is that possible? No, I refuse to believe it. Something's clearly wrong.
Nanako, please. Try not to get agitated.
I am sorry. With what powers I have, I can find no sign of any malignant spirit having possessed Domon. But spirits may take a myriad of forms in this world, many of which I cannot claim to have witnessed myself. Thus, I dare not rule out possession with complete certainty. And all is certainly not lost, for I received word not long ago that Lady Yai has taken an interest in your sensei's case.
Lady Yai? Is that the same Lady Yai that I think you mean?
The head shrine maiden of the Grand Narukami Shrine? That's wonderful news! Then Sensei will be sure to recover.
Correct. Lady Yai is most knowledgeable indeed, and has abundant experience in the exorcism of evil spirits and aversion of great calamities. I am unable to say for certain whether an evil spirit has possessed your sensei, but Lady Yai can give a conclusive
Excuse me, Miss Inagi, but I must ask, should...
That won't be necessary. All that is required of you is your timely arrival at the Grand Narukami Shrine. Lady Yai does not like to be kept waiting. I must leave now, but we will meet soon at the
Who'd have thought Lady Yai herself would have taken notice of our sensei's
Do you mean to say that Sensei isn't renowned enough to deserve...
No, that's not what I meant at all. You miss... I just mean this is Lady Yai, the head shrine maiden. She has direct and close contact with the almighty Shogun herself. Anyway, you should, given that you've traveled all this way just to meet our sensei. We, the disciples of Meikyo Shisui art, will do our...
Sure! After all, everyone seems pretty excited. Who knows? Maybe we'll be able to find out a thing or two.
I never embark on a journey without a good book to accompany me.
Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh. Wow. Huh? All will be revealed in the next volume? Oh, drat.
I never embark on a journey without a good book to accompany me.
Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh. Wow. Huh? All will be revealed in the next volume? Oh, drat.
I never embark on a journey without a good book to accompany me. body and mind.
Another bad one? No, let me try again.
I hope we find long-lost ancient literature.
Another bad one? No, let me try again. Surely that child isn't flocking off.
Do you think that's Lady Ai? Oh, no wonder Junya was so excited. She has a really striking presence. Also, is it just Paimon? Or did she look right at us just now? It was probably nothing. It's not like she's ever seen us before.
Keep away. Keep away from me. I gave up the art of the sword. Please, let me go, I beg you.
As you can see, Lady Domon has persisted in this state for some time now. He appears to see those who have lost to him in duels past, gather.
Lady Ai, it must be a possession. This is nothing like him at all. In the past, no matter what came his way, he would always...
I'm sorry. It is clear to me that your sensei is not possessed by any evil spirit.
But...
Yes. This is a change in the person himself. Unable to cope with the tremendous pressure he was under, he suffered a spiritual collapse. With his wits impaired, he finally as one who is thrown into the sea, though he fights back desperately against his predicament. It does nothing. As for what has triggered this change, I believe it must be the loss of his vision. For to be stripped of what...
Stripped of his ambition? But Lady Ai, even without his ambition, why should he suffer such a dramatic change?
Your school practices Meikyo Shisui art, does it not? Stillness of mind, freedom from all agitation. What a fine notion that would be if any in this world could ever hope to achieve. There was once one who claimed to be indifferent to rank and reward, and who fled enraged when defeated by his junior. And then, what of the one who crossed blades with his own sensei and beloved fellow disciple?
Lady Ai, I'm not sure I understand.
The path of the sword master is filled with twists and turns. It is no small undertaking to pursue the position of greatest sword master. It requires one to take their sword firmly in both hands and cut down the hopes and dreams of others. Only a deep commitment to his ambition to become the best made it possible for him to rise above the... When that ambition disappeared, he began to doubt himself. As he battled his growing anxiety, he slowly descended into the state you see him. Much like a certain fatally flawed friend of mine.
Poor sensei.
I'm sorry, Father.
That's enough.
Huh? Isn't that... Did he follow us the whole way here?
Ansai, why are there two of you? Is that you or a ghost? You're here for revenge, aren't you? I knew it would come.
You're right to assume that my feelings towards you are far from kindly. It's been so long now that I made peace with it years ago. You did nothing wrong that day. I don't think most of the people you beat along the way would hold it against you. On the contrary, when you cut our ambitions short, we entrusted them to you. in the hopes that they might carry you further. Now I know that we can't place our hopes in you any longer, since you've been. But that is no reason to strip them of theirs. Follow the way of the sword all the way to the highest peak.
But what if one day, the same thing, I put everything I had into trying to become the best? But what if it was all a huge mistake right from the start? If there's a chance they'll end up like me one day, I'd rather they stay where they are now than go any further down this path.
Have you asked them what they think?
Sensei, after you rescued me from the hands of the pirates, I told myself I would follow in your footsteps for the rest of my days. I can't know whether I will suffer in my future as you do now. All I know is that here and now, in the present, I wish to continue. I want to keep going until the day that I can stand before everyone with my head held high and announce that I, like my—
Nanako's far from the only one.
Goodness.
You see? You can play. Being stripped of your ambition is something that's never happened to me, so I can't claim to understand it. But I do. So, just as I once placed my ambitions onto you, it is time for you to release yours into their custody. You are not in the same position that I was. When I left, I had nothing to my name.
I'm sorry to have made you worry for me, and for the state of Miyakyo Shiso. I no longer have the resolve to become the best in the world. The emptiness and suffering inside of me will not abate, but as your sensei, I shall commit to imparting unto you everything. This is my promise. And I humbly—
You can count on that. I'd be checking in on you occasionally anyway, but I am now used to the life of a wanderer. I do not belong in the dojo anymore. Well, don't just stand there staring at me.
So even though his ambition was taken away, his disciples can take it over on his back.
Traveler, a moment, please. Lady.
So, my intuition was correct. The wind that blows from afar carries fresh life to these shores. For us to meet now is premature. Nevertheless, you set foot on these islands at precisely the right moment. I have high hopes for you, child. Don't just—
Ooh, Lady Yae seems to have taken a real interest in— She seems super mysterious. Paimon's so curious what she really meant by all that.